There are all different reasons people feel left out, but I think it happens to all of us. What are some of the reasons you think people don't get invited? Let's focus on that type of feeling left out.
Oh, it I think there's several reasons. One being personality. You know, you might just not click with someone. Um, y- you think you might, but they maybe see it differently,
Yeah.
and that's a tough pill to swallow. You could be the Debbie Downer. What if you got invited to get tattoos and you were trying to talk people out of it? And,
Yeah.
nobody wants that. So, um, I don't know. Those are the two reasons that kind of come to mind immediately as far as why people would be left out. Maybe you are just not fun to be around. And that's
Mm.
a whole, like, other piece of the pie, so to speak. And, people don't enjoy your company. I say that lightly, but that could be part of it. So, but it's difficult if you don't realize that or you don't know, because if you continue to get left out and then your feelings get hurt, I would think that one would want to know why, and you might want to change your behavior.
That's good. Yeah, I think if you're left out one time, maybe two times, um, I wouldn't think too much about it. There could be all types of reasons. Someone just forgot. They literally just forgot to add you to the text message or forgot to ask you. That happens. Forgetfulness. Miscommunication. Well, what are you doing on Saturday? Oh, I'm not doing anything. And then, okay, we should get together. But you don't actually come up with a plan. And one
Mm,
person might think that means you're hanging out, and one person might think you're not. So
yeah.
those things happen. But yeah, if you are habitually left out, if you can't seem to find any group that you can kind of be a part of. I'm like you. I would kind of want to know why. I would want to know what's going on. And that's not to victim blame or to say it's you, it's you, it's you. But sometimes there's something that we all need to look at and say, is there something I'm doing to turn off potential relationships, to turn off other people? Maybe it's tone of voice, maybe it's body language, maybe it's the Debbie Downer who criticizes everything that we think is fun. It's tough to know what it is, but I'm like you. I would want to know, is there something that I'm doing? Yeah.
Yeah, that's a tough conversation. I think in general, most people won't go out of their way to kind of say, you know why we didn't invite you, or
Right. Right.
um, or if you're the one being left out, if you feel like there's a person that you can go to that will be honest and open and kind of share their thoughts and feelings with you, that's always helpful. Um, But yeah, if you're constantly being left out, then I would think that there's definitely a significant reason as to why. And learning that reason, if you want to, I mean, if it bothers you, I would think that it would be bothersome. Then yeah, I would want to change my behavior. I would want to know, like, hey, why don't you invite me to your Friday afternoon get-togethers?
Yeah.
I'm interested. Um, that's tough. Even thinking about it and talking about it, I just feel like that's like, ugh,
Yeah.
that's a that's that's hurtful.
Yeah. And there's no one size fits all approach. I mean, like you said, sometimes it's just they're not your people, but you'll find your tribe, you'll find your people. That's cool. Um, but sometimes you said, you can ask people. You may not even need to ask people. Sometimes people tell you, and they might tell you subtly or in kind ways, but if you really think about the feedback you've gotten from various people over your lifetime, you may already have the answer. Whether you choose to do something with it or not is on you. But, there was feedback I got from my friends and people I worked with over years. You need to share more of yourself. And at first I was like, I don't have to share anything. You don't know me like that. But at some point, enough people say it that you realize, okay, maybe I'm not reserved. Maybe I'm standoffish and maybe that's
Mm.
off putting. Um, one of my friends, Wendy, used to be like, yeah, girl, you so negative. It's so funny. Well, maybe it's not that funny. Like maybe it's not that funny. And I remember hearing that from her as teenagers, but she wasn't the last person to say it.
Mm.
I can think of things people have said to me, and then I look back and I'm like, yes, 7 people said that to me. So they probably weren't all wrong. They don't all know one another. So yeah, maybe I don't have to ask. Maybe people have already told me.
That's true. I believe that wholeheartedly. However, I still feel like there is a good hunk of the population that needs things really spelled out.
Hmm.
While you might have taken some time for reflection and kind of, step back and looked at, what people have said to you and conversations and things like that. I I still feel like in my experience, in some of my experiences, that there are some individuals that need
Hmm.
to be taken aside and sat down and said, "Look, nobody likes you, and this is why."
Ooh,
Um, yeah, um,
eek.
and that is like so blunt, but I think
Yes.
some people just need that bluntness, and not everybody. But there's a there's a girl at work who I always think about her because I'll say, "Oh, how does this look?" She's like, "Nah, girl." And I appreciate that. It makes me laugh. I'm like, "Thank you," because other people may try and sugarcoat things.
Yes. Yes.
And sometimes when we sugarcoat things, it might backfire or it's not as explicit as it needs to be for that particular person.
Yeah.
So, just like Wendy said to you, kind of in a matter of fact way, not everybody's like that, but then you are able to take it and
Hmm.
kind of dwell on it a little bit and reflect. So, yeah, I feel like both sides are needed.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, there's no one size fits all, but I think if it happens, the key is if it happens a lot. If you're left out a lot and not left out because of life's transitions, but because of like you weren't invited. Um then I think that deserves a bit of self-reflection. I do.
Yeah, and especially if it bothers you.
If it bothers
Um,
you. If it doesn't bother
yeah,
you, then forget this whole episode. But if it bothers you, then yeah, I think the self-reflection is important. And don't just stop at the self-reflection. I think people sometimes do the self-reflection, but then they don't do the work to make the
right.
changes.
Yes. Yeah.
So you can't just stop at the self-reflection. You can't just stop at, yeah, I'm a negative person. Well, let me practice being more positive. And it feels weird at first, but you got to do the work. You got to do the
Yes.
work.
The work is that's the hard part,
Yeah.
not even finding out like why people might not want to be around you, but then if it bothers you and you want to change, that change is can be difficult because you might have been like this or probably have been the way that you are for quite some time. So,
Yeah.
yeah, I agree. Doing the work after finding out what the issue is key. So,
Yeah. I just thought of one other thing. I sometimes it's none of these really negative things. Like maybe there's no personality issue, there's no thing to work on. Maybe you just need to be more proactive. Maybe people don't know your interest level and instead of waiting to be invited, you just go for it and say, "Hey, you want to go to coffee? You want to get lunch this weekend? You want to dot dot dot." You make the phone call instead of waiting to be invited by someone else.
yeah,
Um, I think I'm a pretty aggressive friend. Like I will make the phone calls. I will walk up to the strangers in the airports and
I agree with that.
yeah, I
I
know. I
agree.
my comfort level with doing that makes you uncomfortable, and I I understand that.
You are the aggressive friend
I am.
in
I
the
can
most
be aggressive.
positive way. Like, It's just not for me though.
I know it's not for everyone, but yeah, sometimes you just need to make the move. You just need to make the move.
Yeah. And that can be hard because you're an aggressive friend. I feel like I'm not.
Mhm.
I'm a very laid back person. And even recently in my 40s, I've realized like I'm the kind of very laid back person and
Mhm.
I kind of need to be invited. It might be on my mind. I might, want it to happen, but I don't know that I would initiate a lot,
Yeah.
which probably is not going to get you far if you don't initiate some. But yeah, I've recently just did some self reflection. I am not the aggressive one. So I have to sometimes remind myself, like, if I want to do that, I need to do it.
Yeah. That's true. I mean, I could have told you that 20 years ago that you're not the aggressive one and you're
No,
definitely yeah, I'm usually the planner in our friendship, not
you
in all
are.
friendships, but I think that's a different topic too, like the roles that different friends play.
Yes,
Because
yeah,
in our relationship, I'm one way, but in other relationships, I have another friend, she will plan the heck out of anything. So with her, I'm just like, cool, tell me where to show up, tell me what I'm supposed to do. Um, yeah, that might be an interesting topic to explore as well.
yeah.
Just the different roles that we play in our different friendships and
Mm,
relationships. Well, I love you. You know, you'll be
love you
back
too.
for something else. So thank
Absolutely.
you for being such an amazing friend and guest, and one of my favorite people to talk to on the friendship tour. So thank you.
Oh, thanks, Seal. Love you.
I love you too. I'll talk to you soon.
All right. Bye.
Bye.